Ladies and gentlemen, let's get something straight. Hard work isn't optional. It's the foundation. It's the price of admission for anything worthwhile in your life. And no, I'm not talking about working yourself into the ground or burning out trying to prove something to everyone around you. I'm talking about the kind of consistent, focused effort that builds real momentum, the kind of effort that stacks over time and turns into results, even when it feels like nothing is happening. You know what the biggest lie is? That success happens overnight? That there's some magical big break moment where it all comes together? No, that's the highlight reel. What you don't see in the highlight reel is the years of unglamorous, often invisible work that led up to it. The early mornings, the late nights, the times you showed up even when you didn't feel like it. The times you failed, learned, and got back up. That's the truth. Hard work is what separates the people who dream from the people who do. But here's the trick. It's not just about putting in the hours. It's about consistent action, the kind of action that builds habits, the kind of action that creates a rhythm, a routine, and over time builds your identity. Momentum is a force. It's real, and it starts the moment you decide to stop waiting and start moving. You don't need a master plan to start. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to do the thing that matters today. Then do it again tomorrow, and again the day after that. You see, momentum doesn't come from perfection. It comes from repetition. That's why so many people never get started. They want to wait until they're ready, until it's the right time. But momentum doesn't care about the perfect plan. It rewards the person who shows up over and over again, even when it's messy, even when it's uncomfortable. Here's the thing. When you start putting in the work, especially in the beginning, it's going to feel slow. You're not going to see immediate results. And that's when most people quit. They think, why am I doing this? It's not working. But just because you don't see the results yet doesn't mean they're not happening. You're building something, you're planting seeds, and it takes time for roots to grow before anything breaks the surface. You want to be great at something, you want to change your life, then you better fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the work that no one claps for. Fall in love with the silence, with the grind, with the reps that feel like they don't matter, because that's where the momentum is born. Think about this. Every time you show up and put in the work, even if it's small, even if it's just a little push forward, you're building trust with yourself. You're proving that you're someone who follows through. That's powerful because when you trust yourself, you stop waiting for external validation. You don't need someone to tell you you're on the right track. You know you are because you're doing the work. And here's what happens next. As that momentum builds, things start to shift. You become faster, stronger, sharper. Your mind gets clearer. Your habits become automatic. Your confidence grows, not because someone gave it to you, but because you earned it. And when that happens, people around you start to notice. Opportunities start showing up, not because you got lucky, but because you stayed ready. That's what hard work does. It builds a foundation that no one can take from you. It builds momentum that pushes you forward even when life throws you setbacks. Because guess what? There will be setbacks. There will be days when nothing goes right. But if you've built momentum, if you've trained that muscle of consistency, you'll keep going. You don't need to leap. You don't need to sprint. You just need to move. One step, then another, because motion, even small motion, creates momentum. And once you have that, you're unstoppable. So stop overthinking it. Stop waiting for the stars to align. Put your head down and do the work one day, one rep, one small step at a time. Keep doing that, and I promise you'll look back one day and realize you're not even the same person. You'll have built something solid, something real. That's momentum. That's the power of hard work. Focus is a superpower, and most people are wasting it. They don't even realize it because distraction has become normal. We live in a world that's constantly pulling at our attention. Phones, notifications, endless scrolling, opinions, noise. And it's training your brain to jump from one thing to another without ever finishing what actually matters. That constant state of distraction, it's killing your ability to succeed. Here's the truth. You don't need more hours in the day. You need to own the hours you already have. And the way you do that is with focus. Laser focus. The kind that says, I know what matters, and I'm not giving my energy to anything else. Let me make something clear. Focus isn't just about willpower. It's about intention. It's about clarity. It's about getting brutally honest with yourself about what deserves your time and then eliminating everything else. When you focus, really focus, you become dangerous. You stop wasting time on low-impact tasks. You stop chasing everything and start building something. You start finishing things. Do you know why most people don't make progress? It's not because they're not smart. It's not because they're not capable. It's because they're scattered. They're trying to do too much. They're chasing 5 different goals at once, half starting things and then abandoning them when they don't see instant results. They confuse busyness with productivity, and that's the trap. Focus is the skill that breaks you out of that cycle. It forces you to decide what actually matters. When you say, this is the goal, this is the project, this is what I'm building, and then shut everything else out, you unlock a level of effectiveness you didn't know you had. Suddenly, your energy isn't being drained by 100 little things. It's all being poured into one powerful direction. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about having some ideal, distraction-free life. That's not realistic. But you can build the muscle of focus. Just like any habit, it gets stronger the more you use it. You start with small wins. Turn off the notifications. Put your phone in another room. Block time for the work that matters most. And protect that time like it's sacred, because it is. When you train yourself to focus, you're telling your brain, this is the priority. And the more you do that, the easier it gets to stay locked in. The easier it gets to ignore distractions, to say no to things that don't align with your goals, and to stop giving away your mental energy to things that don't deserve it. And this applies to everything, your work, your health, your relationships. Want a better body? Focus on your fitness and nutrition, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, now. Want to build something meaningful? Focus on doing deep, meaningful work even when no one's watching. Want to improve your relationships? Focus on being present, on listening, on showing up with intention. The truth is, most of the noise in your life is optional, but focus, that's intentional. And when you bring focus to anything in your life, you start to see results, not overnight, not instantly, but they come. Because focus creates momentum, it creates progress, and it builds confidence. You stop feeling scattered and start feeling grounded. You stop chasing and start choosing. You want to know the secret to high achievers? They're not doing a million things. They're doing fewer things better. They're obsessed with their goals. They protect their time like it's gold. And they understand that every distraction has a cost. Every time you let yourself get pulled away by something meaningless, you're stealing time and energy from something important. And that's the part nobody talks about. Distraction has a cost. It's not free. It's robbing you of your potential in small, silent ways. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're always busy but not getting anywhere, it's time to look at your focus. Where is your attention going? What are you saying yes to that you should be saying no to? Because once you master focus, you master your outcomes. And the best part, it's all in your control. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect environment. You just need to decide that your goals matter more than your distractions and then act like it. Focus is a choice. Make it. Every single day, most people go through life chasing things they think they should want instead of taking the time to ask themselves what truly matters. And that's a huge problem because when you don't know what actually matters to you, you end up living your life on someone else's terms. You chase goals that don't fulfill you. You make decisions that don't align with your values. You get busy, but you never feel satisfied. That's not success. That's distraction disguised as progress. So let's get honest. What actually matters to you? What do you care about? What kind of life do you want to build? What kind of person do you want to become? These questions are not optional. They're foundational. Because if you don't answer them, you will spend your life reacting instead of creating. You'll let other people's priorities become your own. You'll chase status, approval, likes, money, whatever the world tells you is success, and still feel empty inside. Why? Because it's not aligned. It's not yours. There's power in clarity. When you know what truly matters, every decision becomes easier. You stop trying to please everyone. You stop bouncing from one thing to the next. You get focused. You get intentional. You get real about what's worth your time and energy and what's not. And no, figuring that out isn't always comfortable. It means facing some hard truths. It means admitting that maybe you've been chasing the wrong things. It means letting go of paths that look good on the outside, but don't feel right on the inside. That's hard, but it's also where freedom begins. Because once you get clear on what matters, you can start building your life around it. You can start saying no to distractions and yes to purpose. You can start designing your days in a way that fuels you instead of drains you. You can stop living by default and start living by design. Let me tell you something important. What matters to you might not make sense to other people, and that's okay. It doesn't have to. You're not here to live someone else's dream. You're here to build your own. Whether that's starting your own business, being a present parent, traveling the world, creating art, making an impact, whatever it is, it's valid. It's yours. Own it. But here's where most people get stuck. They confuse what looks important with what is important. Just because something is urgent, loud, or popular doesn't mean it matters. Just because someone else values something doesn't mean you have to. You've got to dig deeper. You've got to connect with your core. What lights you up? What makes you feel alive? What would you still care about if no one clapped for you? That's where your focus needs to go. That's where your energy needs to flow. Because when you align your actions with what truly matters, something shifts. You stop feeling scattered. You start feeling fulfilled. You stop chasing random goals and you start building something meaningful, something that lasts. Success isn't just about achievements. It's about alignment. It's about waking up in the morning and knowing you're living a life that reflects your values, that you're spending your time in a way that honors who you are and where you're headed. That's real success. That's the kind of success that actually feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. So if you feel stuck, unmotivated, or disconnected, it's probably not because you're lazy. It's probably because you're out of alignment. You're working hard on something that doesn't matter to you, and no amount of hustle can make up for that. But the good news, you can change it. You can pause, reflect, redefine, and then refocus. Your goals don't have to be loud to be powerful. Your dreams don't have to be popular to be valid. What matters is that they matter to you. When you figure that out and you focus your energy there, that's when the game changes. That's when you stop surviving and start thriving. That's when success becomes a natural byproduct of living with purpose. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters. Start there. The rest will follow, let's be real. Waiting around for motivation is a trap. If you rely on motivation to get things done, you're going to spend most of your life stuck. Because motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. They come and go. They're influenced by sleep, weather, hormones, your mood, your environment, things that change constantly. So if you're only taking action when you feel motivated, you'll be inconsistent, and inconsistency kills progress. What actually moves the needle is discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't want to. It's showing up not because you feel like it, but because you've made a commitment. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. That's what creates change. That's what builds habits. That's what leads to real success. Discipline is about making a decision in advance. It's saying, I don't care if I feel tired, bored, or uninspired. I'm doing it anyway. Because the truth is, most days, you won't feel like doing the hard stuff. You won't feel like going to the gym, sitting down to work, studying, having that difficult conversation, or pushing forward when things get tough. But those are the exact moments that define you. That's where the gap is between who you are now and who you want to become. The people who succeed aren't superhuman. They're not always inspired or fired up. What they are is consistent. They've trained themselves to act without needing to feel ready. They've built systems and habits that carry them through the low energy days. They don't negotiate with their excuses. They act anyway. And here's what most people don't realize. Discipline is actually easier than constantly chasing motivation. When you're relying on how you feel, you have to constantly battle yourself. You waste mental energy convincing yourself to start. But when you're disciplined, there's no decision to make. It's already made. You just follow through. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wait until you feel inspired to do it. You just do it because it's a habit. You've made it non-negotiable. That's how you need to treat the things that move your life forward. Make them non-negotiable. Build them into your routine. Attach them to your identity. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. That's normal. That's growth. You're not supposed to enjoy every second of discipline. You're supposed to benefit from it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're reinforcing your identity as someone who follows through. That builds confidence. That builds trust in yourself. And that's way more powerful than a random burst of motivation. The truth is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. If you have no discipline, no structure, no commitment, your goals mean nothing. But when you put systems in place, when you remove emotion from the equation and commit to action, you win. Even on your worst days. Let's be clear, this isn't about being robotic or never resting. Rest is important. Mental health is important. But what's not helpful is waiting for a magical feeling to push you into action. What's not helpful is procrastinating because you don't feel like it. That's how days turn into weeks and weeks into years. That's how dreams die quietly. Because someone was waiting to feel ready. Here's the mindset shift. You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it. Start before you're ready. Act before you're confident. Move even when it's uncomfortable, because that's how momentum is built. And once you get momentum, discipline starts to feel easier. You start seeing results. You feel progress, and that becomes its own kind of fuel. If you want to change your life, stop looking for motivation and start building discipline. Show up every day like it matters, because it does. Your future self is depending on the choices you make right now. So don't wait for the mood to strike. Create the mood with action. The more you act, the more clarity and motivation will follow, not the other way around. You are capable of so much more than you think, but you'll never tap into that potential by waiting. You unlock it by doing, by showing up, by being disciplined when it's hard. That's the path. That's the edge. And that's how you win. We live in a world that glorifies being busy. People wear burnout like a badge of honor. Everyone's hustling, grinding, doing 100 things at once, and yet somehow most of them still feel stuck. They're moving, but they're not going anywhere. Why? Because motion doesn't equal progress. Activity doesn't mean productivity. You can be insanely busy and still not be doing the things that actually move your life forward. This is why intentionality matters. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. You've got to learn how to work smarter, not just harder, because if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life climbing a ladder only to realize it's been leaning against the wrong wall. That's the risk when you don't slow down and get intentional with your time, energy, and actions. Let's break this down. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of energy and focus. It's a finite resource. And where you direct that energy determines the direction of your life. So if you're spending that energy on tasks that don't align with your goals, on distractions that don't add value, or on people who don't support your growth, you're draining yourself for no real return. You're busy, but you're not building. You're tired, but not fulfilled. Intentional work changes that. It starts with asking yourself a simple but powerful question. Why am I doing this? Why does this task matter? How does it serve the bigger picture? When you start filtering your actions through that kind of lens, you cut out the noise. You stop saying yes to everything. You stop doing things just because that's what everyone else is doing. You get strategic. You get focused. You move with purpose. And here's the thing. This isn't about being rigid. It's not about never relaxing or having fun. It's about being aware. It's about knowing where your time is going and making sure it's going somewhere that counts. You can still have balance. You can still enjoy your life. But when it's time to work, you work with clarity. You know your priorities. You know the difference between being busy and being productive. One of the most important shifts you can make is learning to prioritize high-impact tasks. These are the actions that produce real results over time, the deep work, the stuff that requires focus, effort, and long-term thinking. Most people avoid these tasks because they're uncomfortable or they take longer to show a payoff. But those are exactly the things that move the needle. Those are the actions that lead to growth, progress, and success. When you train yourself to focus on what matters most, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, you separate yourself from the pack. You become more effective, more resilient, and more valuable. And guess what? You end up working less in the long run because you're not constantly cleaning up after misaligned actions or wasted time. You're building with intention, not reacting in chaos. Intentional work also helps protect your mental health. When you're just grinding aimlessly, it's easy to burn out. But when you know why you're working, when you see how it connects to your purpose, it becomes meaningful. It fuels you instead of draining you. You start to feel progress. You start to feel proud, not because you did 100 things. This level of intentionality takes effort. It takes reflection. It takes courage to say no to things that don't align, even if they're easy or popular. It takes discipline to stop multitasking and give your full attention to one important thing at a time. But the payoff is massive because when you start working with purpose, everything changes. You stop wasting time, you start feeling scattered, and you start creating real momentum. So here's the challenge. Stop filling your schedule just to feel productive. Start choosing your actions based on impact, not impulse. Protect your focus like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. And every single day, ask yourself, is this moving me closer to the life I want? If the answer is no, stop, pivot, recenter, get back to what actually matters. Because when you combine hard work with intention, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when every hour counts. That's when you stop chasing success and start building it. When you truly commit to your growth, your goals, and your dreams, when you show up every single day and do the work, success becomes inevitable. It's not a question of if anymore, it's only a matter of when. But that kind of momentum doesn't come from wishing, hoping, or waiting. It comes from consistent action. It comes from making a decision and backing it up with discipline, focus, and purpose day after day, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. Consistency is one of the most underrated forces in the world. People underestimate it because it's not flashy, it's not dramatic, it's not overnight, but it's powerful, incredibly powerful. Because consistency is what separates those who talk about their goals from those who achieve them. It's the quiet, steady effort that compounds over time. It's the boring stuff that builds empires. Think about this. You don't get in shape by going to the gym once a month and giving it your all. You get in shape by showing up regularly, even when you don't feel like it. You don't build a business by making one big move and hoping it works. You build it by stacking small wins, solving problems, learning from mistakes, and staying in the game. That's what consistency does. It keeps you in the game long enough for the results to show up. But let's be honest, consistency isn't easy. There are going to be days when you're tired, days when you don't feel motivated, days when progress feels invisible. And that's when most people quit. That's when they decide it's not working, that it's taking too long, that maybe they're not cut out for it. But those are the moments that matter the most, because that's where resilience is built. That's where your character is tested. That's where most people give up, and you get the chance to rise. What you do on the hard days matters more than what you do on the good ones. Anybody can show up when everything feels exciting. But it's the people who keep showing up when it's uncomfortable, when it's quiet, when it's thankless. Those are the people who win. That's how you earn success. And here's the beautiful part. The more consistent you are, the more confident you become. Not because everything's perfect, but because you've built evidence. You've proven to yourself that you can follow through. You've created habits. You've built momentum. And momentum is gold. Once it's moving, it's hard to stop. You start to realize that you don't need motivation, you just need to stick to the plan. You don't need perfection, you just need progress. You don't need massive action every single day, you just need meaningful action repeated consistently over time. So many people chase intensity when they should be chasing consistency. They go all in for a week and then burn out. They sprint, then crash. And then they wonder why they never see results. It's because results aren't born from intensity, they're born from repetition. It's the quiet, consistent steps that create breakthroughs. It's showing up to write one page every day. It's making that extra sales call. It's choosing the healthy meal. It's reading for 10 minutes. It's practicing your craft even when no one's clapping. Those tiny actions might feel small in the moment, but over time, they build something massive, something meaningful, something lasting. So if you're feeling discouraged because things aren't happening fast enough, breathe, zoom out, look at the long game. The people who make it are the ones who stay consistent even when progress feels slow. They trust the process, they trust themselves, and they keep showing up. That's your job right now. Show up, stay focused, keep moving, one foot in front of the other. Success isn't always loud or dramatic. It's often slow, steady, and quiet. But if you stay consistent, it will come. It has no choice. Because the truth is, consistency always wins. Not right away, not instantly, but always. There's this belief a lot of people carry that success is something reserved for the chosen few, those with the right connections, the perfect timing, or some rare talent that sets them apart. But that belief, it's wrong. Success isn't magic. It's not luck. And it's definitely not reserved for some elite group of people. Success is built. It's earned. It's the result of daily effort, intentional choices, and the refusal to quit. And here's the most powerful truth. Success follows those who stay focused on what matters and who put in the work over and over again. It's easy to get caught up in the noise. You look around and see highlight reels, people posting wins, achievements, milestones. It's tempting to think, why not me? What am I doing wrong? But what you're not seeing are the hours they spent grinding behind the scenes, the setbacks, the sacrifices, the doubts they had to overcome. Success isn't served up on a silver platter. It's forged in the quiet, unglamorous work that nobody sees. If you want success, real, lasting, soul-fulfilling success, you have to stop chasing what's shiny and start building what's solid. You have to focus on your craft. You have to double down on your priorities. You have to work hard, not just when you feel inspired, but especially when you don't. And you have to understand that success doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it shows up as slow progress, small wins, subtle shifts. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. That's why clarity matters. That's why consistency matters. Because success isn't something that shows up when you're looking for it. It shows up when you're ready for it. It shows up when you've built the habits, done the work, and prepared the foundation. You don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. The problem is most people give up before the breakthrough. They want results faster than they're willing to grow. They try for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and when the world doesn't reward them right away, they pull back, they lose faith, they start thinking maybe it's not for them. But let me tell you something, every person who's ever achieved anything meaningful has felt that way. Doubt is normal. Fear is part of the process, but quitting, that's optional. Success follows those who are willing to keep going even when progress is slow. It follows the ones who can take a hit and still get back up. It follows those who are focused on the long game, not just the quick win. And that's where most people mess up. They look for shortcuts, hacks, quick fixes. But shortcuts don't build character. They don't teach you the lessons you need to handle the weight of success once you get it. You have to earn it piece by piece. And here's the truth no one talks about enough. The journey is the success. It's who you become in the process. It's the resilience you build, the skills you sharpen, the mindset you develop when you work hard and stay focused on what really matters. Your growth, your values, your vision. You start becoming the kind of person success can't ignore. So if you're in the thick of it right now, if you're working your tail off and it still feels like nothing's happening, don't stop. Don't pull back. Don't talk yourself out of what you were made for. Keep going, keep building, keep showing up. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is taking you closer. The world will try to distract you. It will offer you easier paths. It will test your commitment. But if you know what you're working toward, if you're grounded in your purpose, none of that will shake you. You'll stay the course. You'll do the work. You'll keep your eyes on what matters. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll look up and realize that you've built something incredible. Not just a result, but a life that reflects your effort, your values, and your persistence. That's what success really is. And it will follow you if you keep showing up for it. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait to feel ready. Just start. Focus, work, repeat. Success is already on its way.